What's up, my 100x builders? We are going beyond vibe coding and building actual systems that scale with absolutely no coding knowledge required. Now, in this week's bulletin, we take a look at an AI that escaped the sandbox that it was being tested in, broke into a real company, and did it all to cheat on a test. We've also got a prompt that tells you whether you actually know your own work or just recognize the words, the reason everyone's advice for beating AI slop in design is wrong, and one line that goes and reads 18 websites all for you, plus what just shipped to your operating system. So let's get into it. So 2 supposedly safe environments failed this month, and I want to walk you through both because together they say something bigger than either one on its own. So the first one, xAI's Grok Build, their coding assistant, the kind of tool a lot of you now leave running on your machine all day, got caught uploading entire repositories to xAI's cloud. I'm not talking about the file that you were working on, I'm talking about the whole thing. Full history, secrets sitting right there, totally unredacted, and there was a privacy toggle in the settings which did absolutely nothing. Now, the real off switch was a server-side flag that nobody outside the company even knew existed. Now, Elon Musk pledged a purge once it went public. The one small mercy is that it went to a private company bucket, not somewhere open on the internet. Now, the second one, and this is the one that's been keeping me up. A few issues back, we covered a breach at Hugging Face. Something moved through their internal clusters over a weekend, harvested credentials, about 17,500 recovered actions. Now, at the time, nobody knew who did it, but now we do. It was OpenAI. 2 of their own models running an internal security evaluation with their refusals deliberately turned down, escaped the sandbox they were being tested inside, found a real 0-day, crossed the open internet, and broke into Hugging Face's production systems. And the reason sounds literally made up. They were trying to steal the answer key to the test that they were being graded on. I mean, it broke into a real company to cheat on an exam. Hugging Face caught it themselves 5 days before OpenAI connected its own testing to the intrusion. Now, here's my take on all this. These pre-designed safe environments are proving not to be as locked down as the companies building them think they are, and we're talking about some of the biggest companies in the world. So we have clearly crossed a line here, right? Agents can now move through code and server settings and find loopholes buried so deep that no human would ever catch them. Settings that have been assumed safe for as long as they have existed. Between the sheer volume of information these things process, the number of actions they can take, and how good the reasoning has gotten, they find it, they exploit it, and they get their answer. So whatever the mission is, it will take all means necessary to accomplish it. Now, I'll be honest with you. I don't know where this goes. I've been preaching isolated environments and security for a long time, and none of that changes. If anything, it matters more. But we are learning that the isolated environments themselves might not be trustworthy. Nobody has a real answer yet because we've never had anything capable of maneuvering systems like this. My best guess is we end up with security agents constantly scrubbing, hunting for loopholes, just to counter the agents doing the same thing from the other side. So what you actually do this week, keep doing all the boring non-negotiable stuff. Role-based access control, real permissioning, governance, then add one step on top of it for anything that you plan to take public, and that step is called adversarial verification. Have a second model from a different lab try to break your work before your users do. The cheapest way in is OpenAI's official Codex plugin for Claude Code, and it ships with a command built exactly for this, an adversarial review. Claude writes it, a rival frontier model tears at it, then you ship. The install lines are in the bulletin, in the community, so make sure you check that out. One honest warning from my own week, when you point a model at your own systems and tell it to break in, its safety guardrails will sometimes decide that you're the attacker and pull the plug in the middle of the job. That's not you doing something wrong. You see, Hugging Face hit the identical wall during their own incident response, and they solved it by self-hosting an open weight model so that no vendor's usage policy could stop their responders mid-investigation. That particular fix runs serious cluster hardware, not on your laptop. But the principle scales all the way down to you. The reviewer should never be the same model as the builder. Also, for our 100x members, this week it's infographic and it's not what it sounds like. This is about telling a story of data. Instead of building a wall of text and a pile of numbers that nobody understands, the data is the whole job, not decoration, narrative, using visuals, boxes, arrows, and where things sit on the page to actually carry an argument. Point it at data or at an idea, and it builds you a professional infographic and exports it as PNG or PDF. It routes itself into one of three shapes depending on what you're actually doing. Data heavy for KPIs and before and after numbers, process and flow for timelines and architecture and how something works, or marketing and editorial for one-pagers and social graphics. Just say infographic or visualize this data or one-pager and it wakes up. And the principle underneath it is the right one. An infographic is a visual argument, not a decorated table. It answers exactly one question, and if it's trying to answer two, it splits. Where I actually use this a lot is with process maps, data flow and conceptual mapping of the systems that I build. And I run it on three levels. I have level 1, which is my strategic roadmap, the whole hierarchy at a glance. Then I have level 2, which takes one single part of that map and gets into the weeds of it. Then I have level 3, which is the most granular layer, the one that you'd hand over to whoever has to actually go build the thing. So here's your move. Take the system you're building right now and make the level 1. Just the high-level roadmap. It's only going to be one page, one question answered. You are going to find the hole in your own thinking before anybody else does, and honestly, that's the most value. The pretty picture itself is just the bonus. This week's prompt is a little outside our normal lane, and that's on purpose. Because when we talk about going beyond vibe coding, we're talking about data modeling, user experience, governance, role-based access control, security, data management, all the things that make an application a proper application instead of a vibe-coded one. And if you want to be a builder who competes in enterprise and sits across the table from CEOs and CTOs, you have to genuinely understand these things. Not recognize them on a slide, you have to understand them well enough to explain your own access model out loud in a room to somebody who is deciding whether to trust you with their business. That gap between I've seen this and I can actually produce this is invisible until it costs you the deal. So this prompt drags it all out into the light. It deliberately starves you of clues. Instead of asking you to explain the process of photosynthesis, it asks what happens when a leaf does its primary job. Now you answer and it shows you what a full mark answer looks like and what you missed. And after 8 rounds, it scores what percentage you actually generated on your own versus what you merely recognized. Now you pick the one fundamental you nod along to, but have never had to defend. Data modeling, I get it, it's boring. Access control, governance, whichever one you just felt a twinge about. Run the 8 questions on it right now. Do it before the enterprise conversation, not after. The full prompt for this is in the bulletin in our community, and it's ready to copy, so go check it out. Everybody can generate a website now, which is exactly why they all look the same, right? The same gradients, the same hero, the same 3 cards. This is the loudest topic in our niche right now. One video on Claude Design Taste pulled around 133,000 views in 4 days, several times its channel's normal pace, and a second one on the same theme did 64,000 right behind it. And the standard advice everybody is handing around is build an inspiration library, collect screenshots of sites you like, tell Claude to match the vibe. Now, I actually don't think that's the unlock. The unlock is writing your constraints down and giving the model the resources to do the work. So here's how I think about it instead. Design its components and the form factors of those components and how they deliver and present information. A single component can be built a million different ways, right? It can be a form, it can be animated, it can be heavy on imagery and light on words, or light on imagery and heavy on words, and each of those forms serves a different function. So the real work is connecting the dots between the functions of your app or your site and the form factors that best deliver them. A website hero, a thank you page, a confirmation page, a shopping cart. Every one of those is a different function, and everyone calls for different components in a different form. Map those functions to the specific design components you actually like. Hand Claude that map as your constraints, and the output stops drifting. That's not taste transferred by osmosis, which never works. That's taste written down. So your move is to list the 5 or 6 functions your product keeps repeating: hero, sign up, confirmation, empty state, checkout, whatever yours are, right? Next to each one, name the component form that serves it best. Now that list is your constraints file, and it will do more for your output than a folder full of screenshots ever will. Okay, ask this one what actually happened in AI agents over the last month, and it goes and reads the internet for you, then hands back a sourced answer instead of a vibe. It's called Last 30 Days, and it fans out across roughly 18 sources in parallel: Reddit, X, YouTube, TikTok, Hacker News, GitHub, TechMeme, even Polymarket. It windows everything to the last 30 days, and it ranks what it finds by what real people actually engaged with rather than what some editor decided to feature. It's sitting at about 57,000 stars, and on Claude Code, it's a single line to install. That line is also in our bulletin. Go check it out in the community. Now, my honest read on this is a productized version of the feeder that I already run with somewhat different logic and a wider net. Now, whether you need it depends entirely on your goal. Do you actually need to span a lot of sources, or is 1 or 2 really enough, right? Because there are aggregated sources out there that will more than accomplish the job on their own and cost less. What this does really well is it gives you a general read on what's hot and what's trending in your space, and that is a genuinely important part of aggregating content and speaking as an expert, right? But here's the thing, and this is the note I want to end this whole issue on: the key isn't the aggregation. The key is the take. It's the ability to give a personal, authentic take that demonstrates you're actually an expert, not by regurgitating information, but by adding real value with a specific point of view. That is the thing that makes somebody want to come with you as a resource, because otherwise I could just go to any one of those 18 places and get the information myself. So run it once in your niche this week, and then don't publish what it gives you. Publish what you think about what it gives you. That half is the only half that can't be installed. All right, so that's all for now. If you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe. And if you want access to the exact operating system I run my businesses on, definitely check out our Builder community in the link below.